Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. It is time for my October wrap up, which is a little bit of a daunting task because of how much I read in October, which is also exciting to say. So I'm just going to take this in stride and give you the information and just roll with it. There probably won't be much book explaining in this video because I did read 19 books in the month of October. But let's start with the 3 books I acquired in the month. I did very well, but I'm not sure what I spent on these, so that's kind of out the window for the year. I blew my budget. We'll try again in 2023. But the first thing that I acquired was a book I got for the store that I decided to keep for myself, and that is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is just highly sought after and I'd like to know. And then on our little camping trip, I bought 2 books, which if you watch that vlog, I do think I teased them in that video. I'm not really remembering now, maybe I didn't. But I picked up I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy, as well as Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. You'll see I read an Alexis Hall in the month of October and I really loved it, so I would like to read more of their stuff. So to get into my stats, I am so happy to say that I read almost twice as much as I had read through the summer months of like August, July, June. So I read 19 books. Like I said, I read 3,197 pages. I physically read for 39 hours and I listened to 75 hours of audiobooks. My reading speed per hour for my physical reads was 82 pages an hour, which is fairly high. You'll see I do have quite a few children's books here. And most of this success is attributed to the Squash That Series readathon, but I did read 4 books outside of that. So there's 4 books here that you may not even know I read. 12 of these books were physical books and 7 of them were audiobooks, which is very high on the audiobook scale for me. I owned 15 of them. I got 2 of them from the library and I used 2 Audible credits, and that actually set me free for my Audible subscription. I used up all my credits, so I was able to finally cancel my Audible subscription. I'm realizing now I didn't do any math as to what my average star rating for the month was, so while I list these, I will give you my average for the month. But I had 1 1-star, 4 2-stars, 8 3-stars, 5 4-stars, and 1 5-star, making my average rating this. I had 9 adult books, 1 new adult, 1 young adult, and 6 children's. I read 8 things that were published before 2010, 4 things from 2010 to 2019, 5 things from either 2020 or 2021, and then 2 things published in 2022. I read 10 mysteries, 5 romances, 2 adventure, 1 fantasy, and 1 nonfiction. And let's get into the books. As always, I'm going from my least favorite to my most favorite, starting with a novella. I read Busted by Karin Slaughter and I gave it 1 star. I am kind of burnt out of that series. I'm kind of holding on because I'm hoping that the more recently published installments are better, so I'm kind of pushing through some of these outdated ones, hoping it gets better, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna have many regrets. And then my 2 stars were The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, as well as The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did enjoy The Final Gambit a little bit more, but overall I was really just feeling like these were a slog, and it's a whole lot of family tree that's trying to be interesting. And then popping in was my other book in the Will Trent series by Karin Slaughter. I did give this one 2 stars. I was really bored, really not liking it, and then the end pulled through a little bit. So if it wasn't for the ending, this probably also would have gotten a 1 star. But the ending sparked me a little bit, obviously enough to then read that novella and regret it. And now we're jumping into some of my children's books. I guess my least favorite of the month, which was The Miserable Mill by Lemony Snicket. I think this is around when I was really starting to realize how problematic some of this is. And this really probably is my least favorite in the series so far. And then zooming in to my 3 stars, I have Lions at Lunchtime by Mary Pope Osborne. Then I have The Austere Academy by Lemony Snicket. And then I finished out a series by listening to As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I do think that is a good series, but I struggle with my enjoyment, and it's fun to listen to on audiobook because it has the podcast element. Then for a fun festive read and allowing myself to start another series after Squash That series was done, I did read The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, which Erin Sterling is Rachel Hawkins, and I've read quite a bit of Rachel Hawkins' work, but for some reason I struggled with the writing in this one quite a bit. But overall, it was vibes, like it was a good time. I don't think this is good. Like I said, I don't think the writing's good, but it was the right vibe and I had a good time, okay? Then I had The Vile Village by Lemony Snicket, and my favorite one in that series for the month, which was The Ersatz Elevator. I read The Risk by Elle Kennedy, which was my new adult. I really only categorize stuff as new adult if it is like specifically in college, which this is. And again, this is another series that is like, is it probably good? No, but I have such a good time and will probably continue the series. Then for my last 3 star, a very high 3 star, was the nonfiction pick for the Magic Tree House read along, and that was Hidden Figures by, I don't know who that's by because I never held it in my hands. It was an audiobook. I should have looked at that for sure, but I didn't. And this is basically looking into the Black women who were vital in NASA. And it was good. So then getting into my 4 stars, I have Polar Bears Past Bedtime by Mary Pope Osborne. I have a mystery that I decided to read. Again, this is what I read before Squash That series started, because Squash That series started on like the 7th or something. It's all a blur now, but I read I Know Your Secret by Ruth Held, and I only ever got this because Stasia read it and loved it, and I do think it was a good solid thriller, but I don't think it stands out. Like, it is just, it is what it is. I had a good time reading it. I wanted to know what was happening while I was reading it, but I probably won't keep this, and it's not something that's gonna like stick in my mind. I do think there's a little bit of a trend of like the therapist and patient thriller situation that's been going on, and this definitely follows that, but I also thought it was like different enough. And then look, I finished more series. Again, at 4 stars, I have The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang. Again, this is another series that I feel like all the books, actually I take that back, I didn't like the second book, but the series as a whole I feel like was decent, but it's not something that's gonna stick out to me for long. I will probably end up getting rid of these. So while this was a 4 star, it's not gonna stick with me. Then I have my chunky boy, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, which I'm still just so proud of myself for even getting through this series, a big chunky fantasy series, and I'm enjoying it so much. This was definitely like a 4.5 for me. I was interested in the like political system that this was setting up, and I'm really excited to be getting into the 3rd book. I actually think I'll be reading the 3rd book in November, so yay. And another finished series. This one I'm very excited about because I've been working on this series for so long, and it was a 8-book series, and that is On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn. This just quite couldn't get the 5 star for me, which means that none of the books in this series did get a 5 star, but this is a series that I think as a series stands strong for me, where some of these other ones didn't. And this had the friends to lovers trope, so you know I was into it. And then lastly, my favorite book of the month, and this one just barely got a 5 star for me. When I first rated it, I think I did give it the 4.5 stars, but going back and talking to my friends, because I did read this with some friends, and just talking about all the things that were good and set this apart, made me bump it up to that 5 star, and that was A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall. I loved this. What can I say? It's historical romance, which we know I already love. It is friends to lovers, and it's diverse, so like this is all you need. Truly, while I'm saying it barely got a 5 star, like this is it. You need to read this, and it made my month. So that's the stuff. That is the 19 books I read in October. I'm so happy to be pushing through this. We are in the home stretch of the year now, with only November and December left. So I'm excited to see what I can complete in the end of the year here. But thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.